Hiya, Mr. More Sewing here. Today I'm going to talk to you about setting up and using your overlocker. I've serviced and set up hundreds of overlockers, different ages, different makes. The basics are always the same as it is with a sewing machine, and what I'm really here today is to pass on some of the hints and tips that I've picked up and learned over time to help you get the best out of these machines so that you can use them, not be intimidated by them, and get the best out of them and enjoy what you really want to do, which is, you know, making lovely clothes so you can walk around and everyone go, "Oh, did you make that?" And you can go, "Yes, I did." And just having fun, which is the important bit. First thing I'm going to talk to you about is the essentials. Thread. You can buy big cones of thread. We see them all the time, see them sometimes cheap in some of the supermarkets. My suggestion is you avoid those. To be honest with you, the quality of them can sometimes vary a great deal. They can either be too soft, which means they snap really easy under tension, or they can be too hard and they pull against each other when you're trying to sew. The thread can be a bit linty, which means that there's little bits of fluff on the actual thread which can get caught in the eyes of the needles and the loopers, which are the metal bits that pass around underneath, and can cause you problems with your sewing and the quality of your sewing. Yeah, so we tend to avoid them. This is Coates Moon thread. We're not sponsored by them or anything, but we really like it. There's 1,000 yards or 900 meters on these reels, and at the time of recording this is £1.40. That's what we sell it for. Real range of colours. We use them in our classes all the time and on our demo machines, and they work really, really well. So you could argue you might have to change them a little bit more often, but you're getting a better range of colour and it's a better quality thread than most of the cones. I'm not going to say every cone, but we tend to, you know, you get what you pay for. I think that's the easiest thing to say. So try and stick to the good stuff. Second thing is needles. Make sure you're using the right needle for your overlocker. Don't assume it's the same needle that you use for your sewing machine. There's many different types, but the two main ones, and hopefully it's in the book that you've got with the machine, or it might even be printed somewhere on if you're lucky, or you can look it up online. But the two main ones, that's an ELX 705 and that's an HAAX1 SP. And those are the two main types. And they will make a difference. They will make a difference to your stitch. You might think no, they don't, but they do. A lot of the times when I'm servicing machines, I'm lucky that I know what needles are needed. But if not, I have sets of these and I try one and I try the other. There's some other needles you can try as well, and they really do affect the stitch. It's quite surprising. So get the right ones, get a good make. Again, we're not sponsored by Schmetz, but we really like them. We think they're some of the best needles you can buy. And change them as often as you would do on a sewing machine, which surprisingly is every 8 hours of sewing or so, or every time you really start a major new project. What you're looking for really is if you start to see something going on with the quality of the stitch, or you hear a popping sound when you're overlocking or sewing, that means your needle's going blunt. Or if there's a problem with the tension, I think you might have damaged the needle in some way. Easy to do. Just change them over. Now when you're putting the needles in your overlocker, the other thing to remember is that the needle on the left, yes, the needle on the left is set higher than the needle on the right. Don't try and level them up. They need to be offset because the looper that passes underneath them, if you're really that sad and you want to look, is passing in an arc. So the needles need to be in a certain place to make sure they're sewing properly. So the needle on the left, when you push it up into the needle bar, will go higher than the needle on the right. Don't be surprised if that's the case. That's the correct thing. Don't do the other way round. Just make sure, like you do on a sewing machine, make sure they're pushed up as high as they will go. And as on the sewing machine, it's what I call flat to the back. So the flat part of the shank at the top of the needle goes away from you into the bar. The last piece of essential kit are bent nose tweezers. They're great. They help you get bits of fluff out of the machine, pull the threads out from underneath the presser foot when you need to, make sure that all the threads going through all the different guides, which we'll talk about in a minute when you're actually threading the machine up. Same with sewing machines, indispensable. You should have got a set when you've bought your overlocker, but if you haven't got a set, go and get some. They're invaluable. We have them here all the time. Right, now I'm going to talk to you about threading. As you know, on an overlocker, you've got 4 tension discs. And if you run from left to right, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't thread them up in that order. Don't thread them up 4, 3, 2, 1. Actually, what you want to do is start in the middle and work your way out. So really the order is 3, 4, 2, 1. But as I say, if you think, start in the middle, work your way out. And what you're doing is you're threading up the 2 loopers, which are the bits that pass around underneath. You're doing that first. And on this machine, this is a FAF machine. Again, not sponsored by FAF. We do sell them, we do rate them. But one of the things I really like about this machine is because I can do that, you can really see what's going on. Now, on most modern machines, in fact, I think on all of them now, you should see a guide. And it's really important that you follow the guide. As long as you put all the threads through the different clips as it says, you do them in the right order, 3, 4, 2, 1, working your way out from the middle. I'm going to repeat myself a couple of times here. You shouldn't really go wrong. The other important thing to do is make sure that your thread is actually in the tension discs, and you can do that by pulling it in. As you put them in, pull them in, hold the bit at the top, hold the thread at the bottom, pull. And sometimes you might just hear them go blip, and they'll just flip in. Because the tension discs on these machines don't tend to open up like they do on the sewing machine, there is a chance sometimes that your thread just sits on the top and doesn't drop down into the guides. And if that happens, the thread's not under tension and your stitch looks really weird. So, you know, if you get that issue, the first thing to do is make sure that your thread is pulled in and dropped in. You can even use your tweezers to sometimes just help you open up the discs so the thread drops in. One little tip for you is to clean your tension discs on your overlocker. You don't have to do it all the time, perhaps once a year or so, or when you're changing your thread, that's the best time, because of course it means there's no thread in the tension discs. And when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about these 4 things here. And what tension discs are 2 metal plates that are pushed together with a spring. So when you tighten or loosen or change the numbers, you're tightening or loosening the spring, which pushes the plates together with either more or less force, which is what provides tension to your threads. So if anything gets between those metal discs, fluff, bits of broken thread, dust, anything, little bits of fibres of fabric, and they stop those plates from actually pushing together properly, that can affect your tension. And you would be surprised how many times I see that, particularly with overlockers, because the tension discs are quite exposed, how many times that can cause you a problem. Cleaning them's quite easy. You just need a strip of fabric. Here's got one here, and then you just gently push that down into the gap. Just do that a few times, flick it out. Second one, a few times, flick it out. A few times, flick it out. Sorry, the machine's wobbling. A few times, flick it out. And your tension discs are going to be clean now. Sometimes you'll see some horrendous things. Maybe the first time you do it, you'll see some grotty grime on the piece of fabric, but the more you do it, the cleaner they get. Thinking about it, you might want to make a note of the numbers as you go along, or before you start. I've never really affected it, but I wouldn't want anyone to tell me off in the comments that they clean this and they change the tension on their machines. It might do, because you might have had a problem before. We'll talk about setting the tension on your overlocker at some point in the future. Now, assuming you've got your threading done, it looks great, everything's right. When you end up with 4 threads to begin with when you rethread the machine, and they're not looped together in their little knot in their little tail. But what you need to be able to make sure is they pass under your presser foot and you can pull them cleanly. There'll be some resistance because of the tension discs, but if they're catching on something, they shouldn't be. And you have to go back maybe with your tweezers and just make sure that they're running freely and they're passing through all the guides. It takes a little bit of setting up. First couple of times you're going to be, uh-oh. Worst comes to the worst, and this is true if you snap a thread as well. The worst thing is you're going to have to take all the threads out and do them again, because they need to be in order. You can't easily put one in after the event and hope it lays properly in the little chain of threads that comes out. It doesn't work, not most of the time, and you're just wasting your time. You might as well just take them all out and start again. But once you get used to doing this, I mean, I can thread these machines up now 2-3 minutes tops. Some are a little bit harder than others, but you get used to your own machine. So that's assuming that you've got all your threads, they're moving cleanly, they're all underneath your presser foot, and they've all passed out and they're ready to go. So the first thing you need to do is actually start sewing. But before you do that, when I say sewing, I mean overlocking. But before you do that, a couple of little things. First of all, don't overlock over pins. If you have pins in your fabric, either make absolutely sure that you take them out before you start. As you are introducing the fabric, to the overlocking threads, because that's what you do with this. You don't kind of start and stop. You always have a tail of thread and you introduce the fabric, but make sure that there's no pins, because there's these blades on these machines, like scissors. There's a top one and a bottom one, and if you catch a pin in those, you're going to damage the blades. You're going to have to replace the blades, and the chances are you're going to have to take that to someone like me, who's going to have to help you do it, because it's not simply a case of just taking the blades out and putting the blades in. You could have knocked the machine out of time. You could have knocked the blades out of alignment. Best thing to do is don't sew over pins. Don't overlock over pins. I will get that right, but you get the idea. The other thing is, if you're new to overlocking, is when you're using a sewing machine, you probably find that you're looking at where the needle is piercing the fabric when you sew. You might not even be consciously aware that you're doing it, but that's what you're doing, because that helps you make sure you've got your seams right, that it's sewing really nicely. Get that. On these machines, the blades are in front of the needles. So what you need to train yourself to do is to watch the fabric as it passes through the blades. And the reason I say that is because if you cut too much off, you can't put it back on. Yeah? So don't really bother looking at where the needles are. Look at the quality of the overlocked stitch afterwards. That's fine. But the point is, look at where the blades are cutting the fabric, because that's your guide. And that's the thing you've got to get used to. Now, as I say, when you're overlocking on these, you already have a tail of thread. And that's what we call it, a tail of thread, looped threads. And you'll have a piece hanging off the side. And what you're doing is you're introducing the fabric to it. So when you're actually overlocking, you introduce your fabric to that chain of threads already, and the fabric gets caught in the chain of threads, and that's what produces the overlocked stitch. And likewise, when you get to the end, you chain off. You want a nice length of that tail, and then you snip it off, leaving a nice length of tail so it doesn't get pulled back inside the machine, because if it does, it'll probably come unthreaded. You'll have to do it again. So just think about that as well. Likewise, there's no reverse button on an overlocker. Likewise, it's much harder to be able to turn your fabric in the machine because you've got two needles. So you just need to think about all of that. They do behave differently, but that's the point. They're producing a different stitch. Without getting too much into it, basically you have the two looper threads which are laying on top of the fabric and produce a locking loop to each other, and that's what allows you, particularly when you're overlocking stretch fabrics, to move. And you have two needle threads that hold those loops in place, because the loops don't pierce the fabric. And if you took these two needles out, or they ran out of thread or anything, the looped threads would just simply fall off because there's nothing holding them in place. Just a couple more things to mention before we finish. First of all, before you overlock, don't forget to bring that to its highest point and make sure the threads are all running nice and cleanly down into your machine. I don't know why it makes such a difference, but believe me, it really does. So always make sure before you start that you bring this guide up to its fullest height. That's one thing. The other thing is, I know these tend to come with a plastic cover, which can be a bit of a pain to put on top of these machines, like a dust cover. What we've found actually is you get a bag for life. It's the right size. Hang on, see if I can do this round the wrong way. There you go. And that can just sit on top of that. I think I've caught it on something. There you go. That can just sit on top of that, and it keeps it completely clean. Do you remember what I was saying before about having problems potentially with your tension disc? Well, this stops that happening, and you can just leave it to one side in your room. So I think that's quite a useful little thing as well. Anyway, I hope that's helped. I'm happy to answer any comments you might have, any questions, and happy sewing.